Mr. Murray for his testimony, and I now want to call upon Mr. Chanelli and recognize him for 5 minutes for his testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. Of congressionally chartered Veterans Service Organization, working for our fellow 19 million American veterans and their families. AMVETS is honored to provide our views on the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs budget request for fiscal year 2022. Over this past Memorial Day, we hosted our first Rolling to Remember demonstration here in Washington. This is now the nation's largest veterans event, annually bringing together tens of thousands of veterans advocates from across the United States, riding their motorcycles to highlight critical issues, to demand increased accounting for the 82,000 service members still missing in action, as well as raise awareness of the many veterans dying by suicide each day. We will never forget our POWs, MIAs, and we won't stop fighting for real solutions to the suicide crisis. This is a powerful advocacy platform with tremendous reach. We will ride each year till we all come home, until all who make it home are well. Last Congress, legislators bickered for nearly 2 years over spending $180 million for nonprofit programs. Yet we'll likely rubber stamp the president's request to increase the VA's general mental health budget by $1.5 billion, reaching a record $13.5 billion. It is challenging to understand why lawmakers would spend an entire Congress arguing over $180 million, but will let $1.5 billion slide by with minimal discussion on the long-term outcomes of effectiveness of these programs and pharmaceuticals. In our sustained demand for a fresh, critical look at the suicide epidemic and its causation, we must confront hard realities. We are failing our nation's veterans. We expect our service members to be the strongest, most physically and mentally exceptional individuals they can be until the day they separate from service. Then all of our policies favor veterans being sick and disabled, with little vision, path, or messaging to help veterans become the best versions of themselves. How does such a generous system lead to such bleak outcomes? VA rightfully compensates for service-connected disabilities. The intent is good, but there is something big missing. If you are well when you leave the military, you are largely left out. If you are broken, you have tons of valuable support available throughout the VA. The system, as it now, fails to provide tangible leadership and training for veterans upon their separation from service, failing to encourage meaningful, positive goals, providing no incentive for physical, mental, and financial wellness. AMVETS argues that the vision is the most important component missing from the president's proposed budget and from the national conversation. The system needs to be reimagined, refocused, a vision laid out to encourage veterans to become the best, strongest person they can be. We need policies, benefits, and VA and VSO employees all systemically encouraging that outcome. We need to stop the victimization conversation. We need to stop telling veterans that they're victims and suicidal. We need to focus on thriving, not just surviving. Where is the positive messaging? Where are the billboards of veterans who've overcome great odds and lived incredible lives, served their communities, built businesses, achieved incredible physical feats, and taken care of their family and friends? Why, as veterans, are we being inundated with messaging suggesting that we are suicidal? We were Marines for life, Army strong, forged by the sea, aiming high, but now we're veterans suicidal? The messaging is wrong and it matters. The president's current budget justification reads the 2022 budget request for the VA fulfills the president's sacred promise to care for America's veterans, their families, and survivors when they return from harm's way. But what if it read the 22 budget request for the VA will assist veterans and survivors in their efforts to achieve their personal goals, maintain a state of physical and mental wellness, provide service to their communities, and become their better selves? That describes the mindset VA needs in planning for FY22 and beyond. Coming up with a productive, modern version and a strategy is worthy of a presidential task force, which we propose in our written testimony. While the words of President Lincoln were true post-Civil War, this is not the reality for veterans today. Despite our injuries, we can do great things, and we need the VA to help us with that. We need a VA that incentivizes veterans to push themselves to be better. We need to get out of the business of spending billions on ineffective mental health services and pharmaceuticals focused only on treating veterans' symptoms, instead to fund proactive programs that train veterans how to live happy, healthy lives of purpose. We need our president and this Congress to form a clear vision to build a VA focused on helping veterans reach their full potential, and that can start here with you this budget cycle. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to the VA for their efforts as this relates to COVID-19 pandemic. The VA and its staffs have done an incredible job in administering vaccines and treating the tens of thousands of veterans who were infected. Our thoughts are with the families of veterans who died as a result of the virus. We know that had not been for the incredible actions of the VA and its staff, many more veterans would have lost their lives. We're grateful. AMVETS is honored to have this opportunity to present our views to you today. Understand that we are proposing some significant changes moving toward a VA of the future. We look forward to working with this committee on this and the many other issues. AMVETS will always strive to create better policies that lead to better outcomes for some 19 million veterans we serve. That concludes my testimony. I look forward to your questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ciannelli, for your testimony.
In a short period of time, Mr. Ciannelli, you talked about the importance of empowering veterans and recognizing every veteran's potential rather than fostering a victim's mentality. The budget proposed almost $600 million in suicide prevention outreach. How should this outreach reflect your vision of empowerment?
The messaging needs to be positive. It needs to be empowering. It needs not to lead a veteran to believe that he or she has been victimized. It needs to be properly informing that veteran that great things can be ahead, and that the VA will be there for that veteran to be able to help live the best lives possible.
Thank you.
So remember, the bottom line is if a service member is suffering and has been harmed because of his or her military service, then the federal government owes that veteran the proper compensation and the proper care. And that's going to have to be something Congress will have to figure out how to pay for.
Okay. And Mr.